Thank you. Let's welcome Naomi Carrington-Hockman. She's retired from the United States Army after 20 years of service as an officer. She has served Toastmasters International for 10 years in every leadership position up to the district level and retains the title of past district director. Today, two-time winner of the Distinguished Toastmaster Award, Naomi Carrington-Hockman, will share some key characteristics of organizational and club quality with the objective of getting you to apply one or two tips in your Toastmasters club, your business, or other organization. Today, her speech is entitled Quality. And for the timer, if you would please give her 20 minutes at the green light, and at which time she will stop and go to the question and answer segment at and yellow at 22 minutes and 30 seconds and red at 25 minutes. So she's expecting us to ask her questions on the information that she's going to give us on her speech today. So please help me welcome to the virtual lectern, Distinguished Toastmaster, presenting her speech on quality, Naomi Carrington-Hockman.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. What is your definition of quality? Because Webster's says it's a noun as well as an adjective. So you can state something has quality, or it has the being of quality. But what I want to talk to you today is about attributes that you can apply not only in your Toastmasters club, but also in your businesses or your professional lives. So I do believe that someone has a first letter. Who, if you check your chat, has the first letter?
Oh, I think that's me. Q.
We are going to go through the letters, so please check your chat. This is the agenda. Sneak peek, so you know where we're going. Q stands for quaint. Quaint can have a negative connotation at times, but I would like to say that think of it as quintessential. What makes your club unique? What makes your club different? What is the special sauce that makes your club fabulous? For me, just coming to this club and this meeting, the format, having to read a book, discuss that book, that's a special sauce that should be advertised and spread out to the world. So that the fact that the format of your meeting, and you have the title of the books ahead of time so people can acquire the books, just the way you guys set up this meeting is attractive and should be used in your marketing tools. For some of our other clubs, of which we are members of, the fact that we offer a hybrid experience is something that makes our club quaint. It's different. We are offering something that not every club offers. So if we can tap in to what makes your club quaint, I think we can up the number of members as well as increase and enhance the quality of your clubs. your club meetings as well.
You.
Thank you, Iris. Understand. There are so many things an organization needs to understand. For the civilian world, there are policies, regulations. Here in Toastmasters, we have protocols, but we need to understand the Toastmaster mission at our respective levels. There's club mission, which I thought was amazing that you guys recited it at the start of this meeting. And I really wish more clubs would do that. But also, if you're a district leader, understand the district mission, which is very different from the club mission. So you really need to understand the nuances of your organization. So there are lots of things you need to understand. Who has the next letter?
Hey.
Attitude. If we were to adopt an attitude of every club meeting was an open house, we would attract or actually transform guests into members. We tend to forget that we have our own lingo. We have a lexicon of words and abbreviations that only mean the world to us. But if you are a guest or someone new to Toastmasters, things like DTM, TMOD, WOD, we tend to just get comfortable and sink into our shorthand. But understand that a guest is lost. So we have to have an attitude of incorporation and welcome, inviting, and ensuring that we remember the guests. Think back to your first Toastmaster meeting. Did you understand? Did you know what a grammarian does? Did you know what the TMOD did? Did it make any sense to you? And I mean, all of us on the screen are DTMs, and that meant nothing to a brand new prospective member. So we need to have the attitude of ensuring that every meeting is an open house. The other attitude I'd like us to also incorporate is the attitude of recognition. We should be recognizing milestones in clubs. There are so many clubs that are celebrating their 40th anniversary, their 20th anniversary. I think we should be celebrating every year. What year is this club? When was it chartered? And celebrate that year. So around the time of chartering, focus the meeting towards, hey, 5 years ago, somebody had the bright idea of starting a book club. And here we are, still going strong and looking forward to another 5 years of growth. Who has the next letter? Well, in case you can't find it, it's leverage. We can leverage our area directors, our division directors, and the districts, and even the regional leadership. The district councils I'm not sure when was the last time any of us has attended an area council meeting. I don't know if those things are a thing of the past or what, but these are structures that are put in place that if you actually use it, leverage them, can gain great dividends for things like contests. We're trying to figure out, when is the division contest? Well, perhaps if there were an area council meeting, we all would be attuned to that information. So I'm a big fan and proponent of leveraging some of the forums that Toastmasters International has created in order to enhance the experience of our members. We can leverage our regional support, people like our regional advisors, for things like conflict management. In the event that there are situations, we can leverage Toastmasters International World Headquarters and the Board of Directors staff to be able to mitigate some of our situations. So I'm a big fan of finding out how can you leverage your higher headquarters. Who has the next letter?
The next letter is I.
Thank you, Althea. Improve. You're never going to get better unless you can assess where you are. And I'm a fan of tools such as moments of truth. And if you actually honestly sat down and did a moment of truth session and plugged what you're learning from the moments of truth into another tool, the Club Success Plan, I'm convinced that clubs will be successful. But the key is not just do the Club Success Plan in the beginning and put it on a shelf. You have to pull that Club Success Plan out at least quarterly and obtain, like, where are we on this path? So the Club Success Plan is a roadmap to you being successful at the end of the Toastmaster year. So if you pulled it out quarterly, you could say, am I going in the right direction? Is the club going in the right direction? If it's not, what can we do to get back on track? What can we put in place? Perhaps we need to do an open house. Perhaps we need to join in the contest. If part of your club focus is training, and it's the time period for TLI and club officer training, then perhaps you put in the Club Success Plan, who wants to lead a club officer training session? And put that into your plan that our officers are going to do that. So don't just use the Club Success Plan as a one-time, one-shot. Pull it out periodically, at least quarterly, and check to see how you're doing. And you can develop your plan for improvement. And who has the next letter? Well, maybe I didn't assign it. I'll go with that. Time. everything is being timed. Your meetings have to be timely. Your functionaries have to be timely. Every component of our meetings and leading up to the meetings has to be time focused. Setting up your agendas and sending it out to everyone. What is your club culture of ensuring that everyone gets a copy of the agenda ahead of time? We need to take a look at all those pre-meeting activities. Are you sending in your introductions in a timely manner so the Toastmaster of the day is familiar with what you're trying to accomplish? The evaluator has to be able to know which pathways evaluation he or she is going to be using. So all of these things should happen prior to the meeting. And in our regular clubs, that should be happening before the meeting. I understand in some of our advanced clubs, we tend to be a little more relaxed about it, and that's okay, as long as when it's showtime, that we present a polished and smooth operation. And last but not least,
Why?
yearn. I know it's a word that you don't hear very often, but when was that intense longing for something? When was the last time that you had a burning desire, that you yearned for something? I yearn for fulfilled members. I yearn for a successful district. I think we need to yearn some more. We are not yearning enough. We need to get that yearning going and just try to push to succeed, push to do better, push to have your club be successful. And I know some of us are in multiple clubs, but that yearning to see a successful organization is something I think will pay dividends to not only our individual members, but it'll pay dividends to the organization as a whole. So I yearn to see fulfilled club members. And with that, acquaint, understand, attitude, leverage, improve, time, and yearn are just some attributes that, if you applied, can make our clubs better. Thank you. And at this time, I would like to take your questions.
You mentioned that we should treat every meeting as an open house, meaning not to constantly use acronyms when we have guests. Can you elaborate a little more on that, please?
So if you think back to your first meeting when you did not know anything about Toastmasters, and in our regular meetings, we did it here this morning, this afternoon. You introduced me as a DTM. Those letters will not mean anything to a brand new person. So that's what I mean. You got to make them comfortable and understand what the acronyms that we are using. We get comfortable sitting in our own lingo. It's our own internal shorthand. And eventually, you know, that new member will become a DTM his or herself. But until then, those initial meetings, we need to remember that those acronyms do not mean anything to the new member, to the prospective member. And we need to explain them.
Madam Speaker, I have a question. How do we leverage headquarters in reference to our clubs? What are some of the, I guess, maybe activities we can do, or how do we set up a conversation with headquarters about our club?
Absolutely. You, of course, first use your air director, then use your division director. And then the division director uses the district trio. The district trio can reach out to anyone in world headquarters and invite them to discuss the nuances of what's going on in the club. But better yet, all the board of directors can be invited as a guest. All you have to do is ask. I mean, of course, they can say no, but you have to ask. They are dying to come out as a guest. And also, those world champions of public speaking, all of them, invite them to your clubs. And you advertise the heck out of those meetings to say, hey, we have the 2020 world champion, the 2021 world champion, Verity Price, coming to our meeting in 2 weeks. People should come, hear her. That's how you can leverage high headquarters. Oh, I'm sorry, Iris?
Hi, yes, I have a question. This is Naomi Carrington-Hockman. You mentioned a lot about, okay, the club and the actions of the club, but a lot of times you have the same members in multiple clubs that are the only ones that are active. Within your theme or your phrase, how do you get new members involved, or how do you change the framework where there are more new members that are stepping up in leadership roles and that are more active in clubs? So what advice can you give on how do we engage new members where they could, because they will be the longevity of the club? Because if you have the same officers or the same members, multiple clubs doing the same thing, they get burnt out. So they tend to leave the club eventually. But if we focus on every new member that we get in the club, how do you, any advice on how to engage or interact that new member within the club?
Excellent question, Iris. One, I'm a big fan of succession planning. So each club officer should have already identified their replacement, and then bring that person to round 2 of club officer training so that they can see, oh, this is what I'm getting myself into. And so that they can be prepared and they have an idea. So succession planning, identify somebody in the club that has potential, develop a relationship with them, say, I see you. I think you'd be a great treasurer. Would you consider coming to round 2 of club officer training? You're not going to get credit for it, but it's free training. to get an idea and be comfortable if you were to take the role in the upcoming year. So that's one. The other thing is we need fresh blood to be infused into our clubs. So we have to advertise. We have to stop trying to find the perfect member and, one that like this high, this tall, and this, age group. No, go find members, advertise. This club is on Meetup, which is great. Make sure that you are advertising far and wide. Take advantage of time zones. So people in Canada down to Mexico, we have great, the time zones, the whole Eastern Seaboard, we could have members in our time zone. So don't just stick here. I think we need to be out advertising outside of our comfort areas. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Well, I did have a question. So very quickly, how soon do you think we need to get information to our Toastmaster of the day and our evaluators so that they can be prepared? How far?
I think you have to develop a club culture that works for your club, because I have clubs that meet monthly, I have clubs that meet weekly, clubs that meet bi-weekly. But I would say within the week of the meeting is sufficient or should suffice. That would be my answer. So I have a question for you all. How will you implement the attributes of quality in your club? Would anyone like to offer? No one's going to implement?
Well, number one, Naomi, I'll take the question. I love how you did the quaint and attitude and leverage and all these different things. But I think one of the main things that we need to do for this club is to go out and get new members, because personally, I don't want to be in a club that has to have a coach. So getting, I don't want to be in a club that's not distinguished. That's me. And so whatever it takes for us to go out there and do that, I think we all need to take some of that responsibility and go out there and do it. And one of the first things I think we need to do in order to build a more dynamic club is to get in some more new members, because we already have a list of the books that we're going to be using probably for the next year. We probably have a list of such books. We just need to decide on what we need for like December on to January, February, or March for right now. But I think the club has actually tweaked itself already in terms of how we do what we started with in the club. We've tweaked it, and I think it's more engaging from most of the members the way that we're doing it now, because before we didn't have this open discussion period, and now we have that, and I think it gives people a little bit more leverage, and they're a little bit more sonorous in terms of expressing themselves with regards to the books that we're reading and what we're doing in this club. So I think every time we do something, we try something new. If it doesn't work, okay, let's revert to whatever it is we need to do. If it works, let's try something different, see if that works as well. So I think, really, I think we're building on the quality of this particular club. Back to you.
Thank you. I also had the idea of bringing some authors. Toastmasters International has a lot of authors.
Oh, we've had them.
And perhaps bringing in some authors, but then advertising that you have that person there so that everybody knows the author is coming. Read the book, come to the meeting, join the club. All right, thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, we are so thrilled that you were able to come to us and that we could accommodate you in your quest.